Yes. I'm so very, very tired, but I just can't rest until I've talked about it. Well, yes. Okay. Well, here it goes. Yes, here I am at the Roadway Inn in Lyons, or Lyon, if you will. This is the destination spot for people who go to Shimmer. Anyway, it's October 10th, 2015 by your calendar, and I got done watching live Shimmer Experience of Volume 76 and 77. This was actually one of the shorter shows. Here, let me get comfortable. So anyway, this show took place at the usual Bow and Eagles Club, and I wanted to talk about it while it's still fresh in my mind, such as it is. I'm so very tired. The show actually only lasted 5 hours instead of the usual 7.5. The show started very close to being on time. We started at 10, which was the regularly scheduled time, maybe 10 after 10, and then went until 3 p.m. And about, well, let's see, afterwards, I'm getting ahead of myself. There was no intermission this time, so if you needed a bathroom break, you'd have to miss something, or, as soon as the match ended, run to the restroom, do your business, as they say, and come right back when you hear the music for the next match to begin. But anyway, it was a wonderful series, but there was no intermission, and so after the show, the fans were encouraged to go to this place called Cigars and Stripes. I guess it's some kind of trendy bar for cigar aficionados. I noticed there was no one actually smoking there, but they were vaping, doing the electronic cigarettes, and drinking the beer, and so forth. So there's a lot of rowdiness and profanity in the air, so it's not quite the family-friendly venue. It was very, very narrow, these narrow corridors, extremely crowded. The parking was horrendous. There was no place to go, so I felt it was a very poor choice of venue. But on the other hand, it did allow ample time for the wrestlers to interact with the fans and sell lots of merchandise. I bought a ridiculous amount of merch, as they say, products. But anyway, all that aside, I'm basically talking about the live experience. I may have more to say because, as I said, I'm very tired. I'm going to try to get comfortable here. Sorry, don't mind if I lounge a bit. Of course, I haven't been throwing myself around the ring, but I've been jumping up and down because, unfortunately, the seat I was in was once again staring straight at the cameraman's back for half of the show. Poor choice on my part, I suppose. And at a certain time, of course this has never happened before, close to the very end of the show, one of the staff said, please don't stand in the chairs. Oh, well, we've only been doing this for how many years now, so don't stand in the chairs. I suppose it's a safety issue. We can only have the wrestlers falling off of things, not the fans, too. Of course, so often during the shows, wrestlers get thrown into the barricades, and when this happens, they slam into the guys who, and they're almost always guys who are sitting in the front row with their knees, the metal slamming against their knees. And of course, the metal in those rail posts is actually very soft, very hollow. It's not solid steel or anything like that, but I'm sure it doesn't feel good. when a 1 to 200 pound person thumps into it with their back and unexpectedly hits your knees. But anyway, so I was not exactly comfortable that time, and of course it was a long drive with a vehicle and so forth. But nevertheless, a fun evening. So let me talk about a few more things. So at this Cigars and Stripes place, we, did a sort of meet and greet with the wrestlers, purchased merchandise, autographed materials, and so forth. And it was quite fun, quite good. Sort of like an extended intermission, if you will. So, after that, there was actually a Q&A session. This whole thing was called Fan Fest. I think it could have been planned a little better. There's a lot of technical issues. But basically, at the bar at this Cigars and Stripes place, they had a video screen, and there were two cameras. One a kind of a tripod, and the other was handheld, and there was a moderator kind of standing off to the side, and they had fans sitting around the bar, or standing. That's the other part. There weren't enough chairs, so people were leaning against walls, kind of just, staggering from foot to foot because they had no place to sit or stand, really. I'm sure if the fire marshal was there, he would have, cited everyone for blocking the, escape route if there was a fire, with all those cigars, of course, vaping only. But anyway, they had 4 wrestlers at a time come up, and Amber Gerdner, who has done many backstage segments for digital versatile disc recordings, would ask them questions, but instead of asking her own questions, she would field questions from the audience's members. So fans would ask a question to the moderator would repeat the question to Amber Gerdner would repeat it on the microphone to the wrestlers, and then they would answer, and many of them answered in character, especially the younger wrestlers, especially the heel wrestlers. Others would just answer as themselves, so outside of storyline, if you will. So it was quite interesting, quite fun, some good questions asked, some rowdy fans. There was a lot of profanity at various times, especially by the heel wrestlers. Sweet Saraya, of course, demanding drinks. He started this joke where each new group would demand drinks before they would answer any questions, and so kind of goofy. So I'm not sure. Supposedly this would appear on a DVD at some point. Maybe it'll just appear on the YouTube channel. I imagine they would censor the language, but who knows? It seems that Shimmer has been drifting away from the family-friendly product. I suppose the next time someone says, family-friendly, it's like, well, which family? The Manson family? What are we talking about here? So the tone has changed, and I'll speak more about that when I talk about the matches. So, if you pardon the low-budget work here, this is not an expensive studio I'm in. So maybe I'll move the camera here. We can talk a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Well, you can see I'm still in the hotel room, so I'm just going to be saying what comes to my mind with each of these matches. I just went online and looked up the results. Many fans, message the results of the matches immediately. So, but anyway, I was there live. I didn't miss any matches. I think I skipped a couple of segments in between, but actually there were no video packages. There was a guy in a vest. They kept calling him the vest guy, the best guy, kind of a joke. But anyway, he was there doing announcements. I believe Joey Eastman is either taken a leave of absence or has retired from his position, but that's okay. That's his choice. He was a memorable guy. I kind of miss him. There's also a new referee, but we still had Bryce Remsburg and Andy Long, who always gets booed because of his bad calls. such as it is. But this new one, he was Percy. I wanted to say Percy Jackson, but that's actually a fictional character. But anyway, I'm not sure if the referees use their real names, but anyway, so just to look at, I'm just going to consult my handy list here. We had this new referee and so forth. The first match, this is volume 76, Candice LeRae. Now earlier I had said good things about her, because I do feel that despite, her looking like just sort of a, pretty girl wrestler, nothing too special about her, she sells her moves very well, very realistically. Of course she has that one move that's not very family friendly, and she does use that move in the match, but there you go. Anyway, there was a battle royal match with many wrestlers. Wrestlers were coming out, Madison Eagles and so forth, and Kelly Skater, memory serves, let's see, Yumi Oka, many wrestlers. I can't remember now exactly how many came out, but Candice LeRae ended up winning. Spoilers. There'll be spoilers throughout this. And actually she won in kind of an unsatisfying way. Someone else had cheated. I believe the Canadian Ninjas had cheated to win. But then Candice LeRae came out. No, they did it to help cheerleader Melissa to win, I think it was. But then Candice LeRae, who had rolled under the ropes instead of over the ropes, because you get tossed over the ropes and that's how you're eliminated. And then Candice LeRae ended up the winner. So it was kind of a silly match, but it was the very first one. There were no dark matches. That was to just get everything started. So it was all right. It's nice to see the wrestlers again. There were some impressions I had though. I felt as if the ring looked in a very sorry state. It was a gray apron with black on the sides. I'm sorry, a gray mat, black apron, reddish ropes, black turnbuckles. Some of the posts, the turnbuckle posts, and it had a website on the side. I'm not sure if I would go to that website because the posts were kind of bent. Maybe it was the way it was set up. And the turnbuckles were hanging loose at various times. They would come loose constantly. I never recalled seeing this before at any of the live shows I've been to. It looked like very cheap quality. And you could see when the referee was slapping the mat, at least in the early matches, probably before the mat got too sweaty, you would see dust flying up. And if you looked at the mat, it looked very dirty. There were little tears and little holes in it. It looked in very bad shape, and I thought, why are they using this piece of junk? To save money? What happened? Maybe the other one was not available at the last minute. It certainly didn't look like the very first ring that they used. I thought, well, maybe they brought it back out again just for nostalgia purposes, but this was pathetic. So anyway, just a minor thing, but I'm sure, the wrestlers, a lot of them looked like they were covered in bruises by the end of the match, but I thought, well, maybe those aren't bruises, maybe that's just dirt from the mat. How disgusting. What diseases and infections you can get, from those filthy equipment. So, I don't know. That was kind of disappointing. You probably won't notice it on the digital versatile disc, but live it was very apparent that this cheap quality equipment, I think they deserve better. But what do I know? I don't run a wrestling promotion. Anyway, yes, moving on. I hope I don't fall asleep in the middle of this. I apologize. It's not that it wasn't exciting, it's just I'm very tired. Not as tired as the wrestlers, I'm sure, who hopefully are sleeping and not drinking throughout the night, because they have a big day tomorrow. I noticed throughout, of course, I felt as if the wrestlers were really holding back in their performances. Certainly there were some hard-hitting matches, but you could tell there were a lot of strikes and kicks and things that hit just plain air. There wasn't even light contact, and I thought, they're really being careful. been very careful, probably because they've had incidents in the past where people went too hard the first night, and the second night maybe there were more mistakes because they were so battered and bruised, and more injuries could happen. But there were some injuries. I noticed at the intermission, the Fan Fest, if you will, at Cigars and Stripes, that Evie had a bag of ice on one of her knees. Cherry Bomb was there. She had a arm in a sling. I talked to her. It turns out she actually broke a collarbone, and she had titanium put in, some surgeries, very complex affair. But she injured it some time ago wrestling. But she was there at the shows, sort of in the capacity of a valet, if you will. Of course, she's in the Kimber Bombs tag team with Kimberly. Kimberly looked as if she had lost a lot of weight. I barely recognized her. And that's something I should mention, because, of course, Volume 71 was the last time I saw any of these wrestlers live. So there have been 4 whole volumes since then. So quite a bit of time has passed. The digital versatile discs have not caught up. And so there were persons who had lost weight. Their physique had changed. They had been, training and fitness. They looked totally different physically. Others had gained weight and looked totally different. And of course, hairstyles, were different. 6 months to a year later, can be a lot of changes. So there you go. But I keep drifting off to the topics. The second match, Lufisto and Taylor Made. I felt as if Lufisto is back. In the previous review of, it was 67, I felt as if her match with Rhea O'Reilly was a bit disappointing. I thought both women were capable of much better. I thought Lufisto's outfit, her demeanor, her overall skills, and just the overall match just was presented much better this time. And Taylor Made, of course, the fans, trash-talking her, calling her Trailer Maid, joking with her that she was trashy. And of course, her whole gimmick is that she's classy, but she really isn't. She kind of wears trashy outfits and makes trashy references, and just does not act like a very genteel person, more like someone who thinks they are, but are actually very low class. So just kind of a joke thing. But of course, decent wrestler, good wrestler, and Lufisto, excellent. And the two of them together had a great match. So very, very well done. Next, Sonoko Kato, along with Kimberly, had a match. And of course, Cherry Bomb was at ringside and with a sling. And of course, Cherry Bomb, making a shrieking, shrill, screaming noises. The Kimber Bombs, I felt, were treated by the fans as if they were baby faces. They were cheered, and yet these two characters would get so upset if any attention was given to the other wrestlers and not on them. They would be very angry if things didn't go their way. So very like spoiled children. So I felt as if they were still, heels, if you will, but in a different way than they had been in the past, where they were outright, cheating and being mean and nasty on purpose. Here, I think they were just selfish. So a little bit of a difference. It's the first time I've done 2 shows back to back, so we'll see if I can make it. I'll probably need some of your caffeinated stimulant to stay awake. Many of the fans, I think, were very tired, and I heard people yelling, it's too early for that, it's too early. Because, of course, I don't think we've had a show so early. 10 a.m. as opposed to, 12 or 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So, moving on. A good match, like I said. Of course, I always root for the Joshi wrestlers. So it was not hard to pick a favorite this time. I certainly am not a fan of the Kimber Bombs tag team champions. But nevertheless, I wish Cherry Bomb well in her recovery. It'll be some months probably before she can wrestle again. But in the meantime, they appear to be the tag team champions. I guess they can't lose it. If the two of them can't be defeated together. Portia Perez came out, and of course, she is probably the second most hated person in Shimmer. And with her long-time antics, her cheating, her, disruptive personality, very mean-spirited person, very full of herself, and yet she was, talking about all the times, all the matches, all the injuries that she sustained, and of course people were cheering and clapping because that's her character. But then she, without changing her tone of voice at all, talked about, injuring her neck and how she was going to retire. And it was kind of a shock because it's like, is she serious, really? Is this the moment where it stops being fantasy, wrestling, and it becomes real? And Portia Perez, the real, I think her name is like Jenny or something. I can't say the real name. I don't know it. Is this when the person steps forward and says, "No, I really am retiring. I know you hated me, but but she didn't really break character, so it's hard to tell. But supposedly she'll be retiring. Portia Perez is retiring after all these years. And some of the other wrestlers made kind of snide comments and jokes about her at the intermission fan fest party. So who knows? Who's to say if she really will, or if this is just a kind of a gimmick and a storyline, and maybe she'll be back, because she's sort of been out before, and it's always been played off as a storyline of some kind. But we'll see. Certainly, she's sort of at the age, I guess, at the level where she could retire, and many wrestlers are forced to retire sooner because of too many injuries, and they just don't want to do it anymore. They just want to do something else. But no one can get a straight answer out of her. But anyway, Portia Perez supposedly will have a retirement match tomorrow, so we'll find out if it's real or not. So anyway, Allison Danger was there, and I was surprised because, of course, she's talked about in podcasts, and she's talked about, tearfully, even in the volumes. Her mother came out and all this stuff about her terrible injuries. She had, brain damage. And of course, many wrestlers have gotten, concussions and things, but she had had so much damage to her brain and other injuries that she couldn't do it anymore. She'd be risking her life, for real, if she continued to wrestle, so she had to quit. And I was surprised to see her back. Of course, she was not wrestling, but she just said, she always wanted to be involved somehow, behind the scenes, doing commentary. She's back on commentary at times, not just Portia Perez anymore with Dave Prazak. Allison Danger occasionally will appear. And she's kind of a funny personality. She'll crack jokes. She'll say off-color things at times. She'll sort of contradict herself. She's, of course, with Leva Bates, she was not always the perfect baby face. She would often cheat and basically sort of change the rules. So it's okay for her to do things, but not okay for others. And of course, she always had, grudges against certain other wrestlers for obvious reasons, for things they'd done to her in the past. But she got to choose the retirement match for Portia Perez, supposedly. And it was going to be an 8-woman tag team match. The person next to me was saying that, well, her retirement match should have been against Amazing Kong. But unfortunately it was not to be. No one saw her. Someone thought they spotted Lacey. But she refused any comment. She just kind of walked away, so I'm not sure if it was going to be a guest appearance later, or if she just is friends with some of the other wrestlers and just was there at the Fan Fest. But anyway, talk about that more later. The streamers this time were rather disappointing. I spoke with some of the streamer brigade. There's this whole group of people that roll these streamers, painstakingly roll these paper Japanese streamers ordered specifically from Japan. They use these high quality, paper, very fine colors and things. Wonderful stuff, really. In America, the streamers are cray paper. They're kind of ruffled and they're thicker. There's a whole video on it from Super Cousin, the super fan of Hiroya Matsumoto, who is not, I didn't see him in the crowd, but he took that very seriously, and there were certain other fans that did too. Well, anyway, it looked as if they just sort of were throwing kind of leftover streamers. They had all the right colors for the Joshi performers to throw, during their introductions, but they were just, it was maybe a third of the usual volume of streamers. They usually threw tons of them, just a few here and there. And I noticed other people were throwing crepe paper. Now, crepe paper is something, that you see in like Ring of Honor, kind of imitating that Japanese style, but using the American materials. But I had heard, Dave Prazak had said, no, I don't want any kind of tissue paper, I don't want the crepe paper, only use the good stuff. Well, nevertheless, the first Joshi matches in Shimmer, they did use the crepe paper, big, bulky, and of course those big rolls, you can hit someone in the face, get them in the eye, might hurt them. But anyway, there was people throwing crepe paper, probably just to fill in the gaps. So, but they did what they could, I suppose. Yes, just little tidbits as we go. Mia Yim versus Kelly Ann English. Now, as her name suggests, she is from the UK, and she was actually one of these wrestlers either trained by or worked with Sweet Saraya Knight through the Bellatrix promotion. These, United Kingdom English, Northern Irish wrestlers. Quite a vicious, brawling style. Kelly Ann, imposing figure, plain black outfit, but just kind of a tough woman, strong, a lot of punches and just, grappling style. Mia Yim, of course, I've talked about before, always in top form. She still has her kind of a half blue hair from her time as Jade in TNA, which I'm not a big fan of the way TNA has been going lately with the knockouts division of women. They have these goofy storylines, the dollhouse, these kind of crazy girls. It's an attempt at a storyline, and people can say about Shimmer, well, they don't have a lot of storylines, but the matches speak for themselves. Jade in Shimmer hardly wrestles at all. She mostly just, jumps people and kicks them while they're down. That's basically it. Mia Yim is a wrestler. Mia Yim does all these amazing kicks and jumps off the turnbuckle and bouncing off the ropes and all these, holds and technical moves. And, she gets the fans on her side. She's exciting to watch. Jade is just very boring, unfortunately. She just kind of giggles and kind of kicks people on the ground. That's about it. Not a lot. I think she's, thrown a drop kick or two, but she and Marty Bell, they just don't do much in TNA, unfortunately. But it is a joy to see Mia Yim working here. Excuse me. The next match, pardon me as I hope I don't fall asleep. Yumi Oka, wonderful woman. And she has a very gravelly voice. She'll say, Oka. It's kind of a distinctive quality. I don't know if she's screamed too much in her career or what, but she has a very distinctive, raspy kind of voice. Wonderful, gifted athlete. Her usual skills, but I noticed she was really going out of her way to be a heel, to cheat, to be just relentless. And I think the fans, I would always want to cheer a Joshi wrestler no matter what, but she earned the fans' displeasure, and they were booing her. So there you go. Yes, Yumi Oka against Makoto. Makoto is one of these, she's one of these baby-like, sort of cutesy wrestlers. Yeah, I'm gonna have to double check because there's actually another Joshi wrestler who is much more of, yes, I'll get back to that. Yes, the other one, she wears kind of this sparkly kind of uniform, and she's kind of shorter hair, and she's does a lot of, powerful moves and things. Very professional. Kind of reminds me of Aquino in a way. Not quite as tall and brash, but um, more kind of tomboyish, if you will. Um, she has her own belt. Yes, she's the one actually who went against Kimberly, a sort of champion versus champion, and I'm not sure the belt that um, Sonoko Kato had, but she had a Japanese belt, and so it was champion versus champion. Whereas Mikoto is more of this cutesy wrestler who does kind of her, childish things, but she can still fight against Yumi Oka, and of course Yumi Oka wearing her red outfit, very much the heel, and the two of them are going head to head, and Makoto eventually winning the fans over. I'm not sure if I like her yet. I'm more of a fan of Yumi Oka. It's taking me some time to get used to the heel Yumi Oka. Okay. Cheerleader Melissa versus Crazy Mary Dobson. I talked about Crazy Mary Dobson before, and she was actually wearing a contact lens in one eye that made her eye look kind of white and black, kind of whited out, and she had it looked like a Sharpie marker. One of these things where, a party tricks someone falls asleep or passes out from drinking, and their friends, use a marker and scribble on their face, so when they wake up they realize they've got marker all over them. Well, it kind of looked like that. Her eye was all covered with this black around her eye, but then her eye itself was all white. She didn't act quite as crazy as she has in some of her other matches, but she still did, goofy things. Now, Crazy Mary Dobson and cheerleader Melissa. Yes, good match. Usual quality. Not much more to say about it, really. I think cheerleader Melissa is just top form. A very good talker, I think, when she's not scripted. When she's scripted, she kind of seems kind of stilted, but her matches are always good quality, good matches, and her, moveset is very much geared towards a heel. So even when she comes out, as a baby face, she still fights very viciously, as if she's a bad guy. And the referee doesn't seem to care most of the time, so who knows? But anyway, basically, she comes out and like half the people, or maybe 2/3, will boo her, 1/3 will cheer her. There were some fans, kind of smart alecky. They would cheer the bad guys and boo the heroes, no matter what. So those people aside, and you can cheer for whoever you want, but why would you like the despicable people? Not just the people you're supposed to like and supposed to dislike. But anyway, cheerleader Melissa has her fans, and I'm one of them. But certainly if she acts dastardly, I will feel inclined to boo her because she's not, doing what a good person wrestler would do. But Crazy Mary had a lot of fans in the audience. She acts crazy, but she also acts like a good character. The number one contender Shimmer Tag Title Tournament. Evie and Heidi Lovelace, Rhea O'Reilly and Sweet Saraya Knight. Let's see. Yes, of course, Saraya and O'Reilly. A heel team. Very vicious. Rhea O'Reilly has this new haircut where like half of her head isn't shaved, but it's sort of cut very close, and there's just kind of one side of her hair hangs loose. Heidi Lovelace and Rhea O'Reilly both have actually the same haircut. I'm not sure if it looks the greatest on a wrestler. I suppose, with a different outfit it might look good. But that's just a personal thought. I don't think much of hair. It's just kind of whatever you want to do. But each wrestler, creates sort of a story with their, costume. So, anyway, moving on. a decent match. I think the heels were especially, evil. Heidi Lovelace, of course, reminiscent of Serena Deeb. Evie, of course, her usual quality. The two of them together, a good team, very energetic, versus the, brawling, wicked heels from the UK. Moving on, Nicole Savoy and Hiroya Matsumoto. Now, Hiroya Matsumoto, with her usual antics and quality, coming out with her Godzilla mask on her hand. It is close to Halloween. She also has some fur trim added to her normal orange outfit. Very likable wrestler. And she fought against Nicole Savoy, and of course Nicole Savoy, it may just be her ethnicity, but she reminds me of kind of a younger Mercedes Martinez, always mouthing off to the fans, just, loving violence, just enjoying beating up her opponents. But her style is actually very different. She's actually closer to Evie, with a lot of kicks, a lot of rope maneuvers, very acrobatic, but, always going out of her way, to be a mean, nasty, egotistical character, and I appreciate her efforts, as one of these newer wrestlers. So Hiroyo, of course, you'd think would not take her serious at all and defeat her, easily, but Nicole really, took it to her. She really showed out. And of course, always in these North American wrestler versus Joshi matches, it's always, the test. Can they go the distance? Can they survive? And Nicole, I think, passed with flying colors. Kelly Skater and Kaylee Ray had a match, and I think Kaylee Ray, I didn't like her outfit as much this time, but she's her usual, self with her. When she comes out to the ring, she will climb the barricade actually and have Fan hold onto her arm, and so she can balance on the metal railing. She'll stand on it. So I suppose she's small enough, she's light enough that she can do that. Now without falling over, except for holding onto a Fan's arm. But anyway, she tries to get the fans on her side. But nevertheless, it wasn't enough. Kelly Skater is such a hero to the fans. But they had a great match. Kelly Skater, her usual quality, not doing a lot of jokes, because she's much more of a serious competitive wrestler, always, but still smiling, still with an incredibly long introduction. No Tomoka, of course, because Tomoka has retired. But Kelly Skater, very good. So the two of them had a very good match. They're actually very similar in size. Even their hairstyle is very similar. So I suppose they're a good match in that sense. I start to see, a pattern of wrestlers trying to all kind of slim down and have, long flowing hair, either bright red or blonde, and kind of wearing, sort of more revealing outfits, and thinking oh, they're trying to grab the attention of WWE, and be a diva. And I think, oh no, what they should do is just be themselves. And of course, they want to hit the big time, but WWE is what needs to change. People like Sarah Amato, who are in there, need to draw in these female wrestlers to add to the diversity and not just be the stagnant, a small roster of eye candy wrestlers who all kind of look the same and wrestle the same. They need to change that. But I can't blame any of the wrestlers for trying to sort of fit into what they think will get them a better job down the road. But anyway, nevertheless, the Shimmer title match, and this came so quickly, I was amazed. We were already to this point. Nicole Matthews and Candice LeRae. Now, Nicole Matthews, I think she's a great wrestler to watch. She makes so many funny faces. And of course, she's such a cheater, kind of almost to the point of being lovable. Very silly wrestler, but actually very decent, technician, if you will. Very good. So even when she isn't outright cheating, she still is fun to watch. I'm not sure if I really like her as a champion, but her rise to the championship and the ways she can try to hang on to it by cheating are kind of amusing to see. So she's certainly not like a Madison Eagles who cheats her way to the top, but then becomes so good that you believe she's going to be the champion forever. Versus someone who, whose championship hangs by a thread. And of course later we would see that, that would come back to bite her. So Candice LeRae, taking her title shot, but alas, it was not to be. Nicole Matthews, too resourceful. But there was a brawl at the end, because what happened, there was an attempt to throw a fireball. Madison Eagles wanted revenge for what Nicole Matthews did to her. Of course, I haven't reviewed that show because I don't have the digital virtual disc yet, but Madison Eagles had a fireball thrown in her face by Nicole Matthews, and I'm sure we'll see the video clip before the DVD of this match. But anyway, so Madison Eagles wanted to return the favor, but before she could do this, the crowd came out. The crowd of other wrestlers, I should say, and interrupted. There was a big fight, and some other things happened. But anyway, that's basically the 76 volume. And I skipped over a lot of things, but I'm just going through the matches one by one and kind of giving my thoughts out while I still have them before I fall asleep. And of course, by the time I upload this, it'll be over. So yeah, sorry for the disorganization. Volume 77, of course, again, part of the same evening. Veda Scott and Casey Spinelli. Now Veda Scott has become a heel. She's actually bulked up a little bit. I think she, is less of this, skinny-looking woman, but certainly she looks very good. Her outfit, she's kind of a nerdy girl still, but more of like a, I don't know what you would call it, like kind of an evil businesswoman as opposed to, kind of this, nerdy houndstooth, and plaid-wearing girl. Casey Spinelli, of course, a big grandstanding, wrestler, appealing to the fans, full of spunk and everything. And so the two of them had a very good match. I think Veda Scott has really stepped up her game. Of course, she's not holding back so much, and she's not pretending to be, the underdog. I think she really has progressed quite a bit. So it was a great match. And Casey Spinelli, she, is filling that time slot, that early match when people aren't really paying attention. But I think she does a great job with what she does, and she's no slouch, as they say. Sweet Saraya with Rhea O'Reilly in her corner. Against Xandra Bale. Now Xandra Bale, of course, the tiny wrestler. She actually didn't look that small. I think she's also been working out. She wore a Batman, Cape Crusader inspired outfit. She doesn't really cosplay, but she has, themed outfits. She's dressed as Spider-Man in the past. But I thought it was funny because, it says Bale in her outfit. It was Xandra Bale, but thinking of Christian Bale, the actor who plays Batman in the Dark Knight series of films, most recently. But anyway, yes, of course, it was not to be, Sweet Saraya, such a bully, and Rhea, such a cheater, and together, the two of them, just crush poor Xandra Bale. But actually, she really held her own. She actually did a great job. She made quite a comeback. So, worth watching. I think Xandra Bale's improved a lot. She's been able to do much more. I don't like Rhea O'Reilly's outfits. These last few outfits, it just looks like she's trying to sell a t-shirt as opposed to having a kind of a cool outfit. I'm not saying that she has to have a green, shamrock-covered, Ireland, stereotype thing every time. But those outfits, are very, eye-catching and aesthetically pleasing, as opposed to just kind of a basic black with a t-shirt over the top. But whatever she wants to do. In the next match, Liberty versus Sammy Baines, two black-clad, kind of English, wrestlers, just brawling, in the ring, but just a lot of punches and just vicious, slams and moves. Very much out of that English style that, Sweet Saraya, promotes in Bellatrix. Of course, Bellatrix is female warrior wrestling promotion. So it was a worthwhile match. I wasn't really invested in who won, but it was just a case of, wow, they really have some skills. Although one of the wrestlers I thought resembled Brooke Tessmacher from TNA. Maybe it was just the makeup, and the hairstyle. But anyway, one more slender, one larger. Then we had Kaylee Ray against Allison Kay, Candice LeRae, Kelly Skater, Marty Bell, and Sonoko Kato. A six-way match. Now again, this is that style where it's sort of like an unfriendly tag team match. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. If you accidentally tag someone in, you get too close to the side, the person can tag themselves in, but whoever gets the pin wins. It's kind of stupid. I hate to say it, it's just stupid. Stupid idea for a match. I don't like it. But the match itself, it does give each of the wrestlers a chance to show off the quality. So that was good for that purpose, kind of introduce us. Of course, we've met them all, but many in the audience, I'm sure, had not. And Marty Bell, with her hairspray, reminiscent of Zima Ion in TNA. I should have asked, who came up with that first. So who knows? But Sonoko Kato was also there. The next match, Courtney Rush against Crazy Mary Dobson. And I felt as if Courtney Rush, with her heel turn, was much improved. Much improved from 67, 68, where she was just kind of a sullen, static, almost wrestler with kind of a not very neat-looking outfit, just kind of really boring and bland. And the Courtney Rush, who was kind of goofy and did dances, was kind of funny. Before that, they're extremely athletic, tenacious, on fire. Courtney Rush, the fans really got behind her. Well, this new Courtney, very similar to Daphne. I mean, she sulks and she kind of sneers, but she has that crazy side that, get in the person's face and just kind of grimace and be like, just, hit me as hard as you can, ha ha, I can take it, kind of just, whoa, what's wrong with her? And just kind of scream. And of course, Daphne has her own uniqueness, but I think Courtney Rush is going in the right direction with this character. Since Daphne is no longer an active wrestler, someone, can fill that niche. And her outfits, the costumes on these shows were much improved from what I saw in the 67, 68 series, 69 and 70 I haven't seen. So I think they did a great job there. Most of the costumes were very impressive, except a few wrestlers just kind of wore basic black. Black goes with everything, but, it's not as interesting. Moving on. Jessica Havoc is back. And she looked like she'd slimmed down. Of course, she was wearing kind of a pseudo, corset type outfit. But it's possible, she's kind of like holding it in. But it looked like she had lost some weight. Of course, Kimberly was almost unrecognizable with her weight loss. But Jessica Havoc, was also always a little bit larger. But I think she looked different, but still threatening and big. Versus Yumi Oka, and of course Yumi Oka the heel. Jessica Havoc almost like a baby face, and she brought out a baseball bat, and it was a bit funny because she used it as if it were a real a metal bat, but the hits were so obvious. Like, you can't slap someone full force in the head with an aluminum bat. You would knock them unconscious, you would kill them, you would break their skull. But of course, it's wrestling, so we know it's fake. But you could see the bat, it would make a thumping sound like it was a Nerf bat, like padded, just padded plastic. And actually, later on in the show, we saw that it would actually break. It bent, and chunks of plastic were coming off of it. The paint was coming off. It was very fake, very fake. But again, what would you expect? A baseball bat would have to be used a certain way. The person would put their hand and front of the end of the bat to cushion the blow, or they'd swing and miss, or they hit next to the person, or they just slow it down right at the last second to kind of like cushion it. But this was just full force hit to the face with a metal baseball bat that was just padded plastic. So there you go. But anyway, Jessica Havoc, beating on Yumi Oka, and the fans loving it because Yumi Oka sort of earned it. She was this bad girl. But I'm more of a fan of Yumi Oka, so I was sad to see, her lose to Jessica Havoc. But there you go. Getting her comeuppance from another bad person. But I don't know if Jessica Havoc has gone face or not. It's just that she was just welcome back. Some of these bad villain characters are gone for a while. They come back. The fans love them, and they don't do anything to anger the fans. They just do what they do, and they get the cheers. So we'll see what happens later on. Because certainly she came into Shimmer, as a villain, attacking Serena Deeb and all that. Kimberly with Cherry Bomb against Heidi Lovelace. Yes. This one I don't remember as much, except to say that, Heidi Lovelace, I think, has come a long way. I think she does much better. Kimberly, always good. So the two of them, had a good, just an overall good match. I'm just getting so tired, it's hard for me to focus. I apologize. The number one contender Shimmer Tag Team Tournament match, Tessa Blanchard. I think her famous father, Talia Blanchard. Unfortunately, I was not watching in that era to know much about him, but this woman, very young woman's gimmick, I think she's like 21 or 20, very young, just started in wrestling pretty much not too long ago. But the whole thing was, you're just popular, you just got a job because of your father. No, I'm going to prove him wrong. And then, of course, her gimmick is that she doesn't really wrestle. She lets other people do the dirty work, and then she tries to take the credit. Vanessa Craven was her tag team partner. Of course, Vanessa Craven, very tall, very large. She played football and basketball and swimming and all these other sports, as she says in the Q&A session. She did so many sports, very athletic, very tall, very muscular. Looks like she's done it all. But she basically does all the work, and then Tessa tries to take the credit. Say, I taught her that move. Just kind of a sort of a lovable heel. Not really catching on with me yet, but there you go. She's trying. She's trying. And then they went against Mia Yim and Leva Bates. Now, Leva Bates, of course, known as Blue Pants for her time in NXT, but she's still Leva Bates to me. And I guess she talks about in the Q&A about how that name stuck, because she had the X-Men outfit on when she tried out, but they said, we gotta cover up the X because we can't show those brands. We don't have the license permission. So she kind of covered it up, but then it looked like she was just wearing, blue top and blue pants. So they called her Blue Pants as a joke, and then it sort of caught on with the fans. She said, well, that's the name that pays the bills. I don't mind. Kind of a low-end, character. But nevertheless, Mia Yim, always good. So the two teams, of course, Vanessa Craven's very large and powerful. Then we had Nicole Savoy, who was once again very impressed with an Evie. And this match, I think the fans started to die a little bit in terms of, there were a couple of points in the show where they just weren't cheering very much. Early on and then towards the end. It's like they were very tired. And actually, my hands were becoming sore from so much clapping. And of course, my back was getting sore from hopping up out of my chair and sitting down again and moving around. I'm sure I wasn't as sore as the wrestlers were, bumping around the ring, but nevertheless, I can sympathize with those fans, especially some of these older gentlemen who maybe don't have the energy anymore. And those, who maybe had alcohol and were feeling sleepy. Then finally we had a no disqualification title match between Madison Eagles and Nicole Matthews. And once again, this well, this was the attempt to recreate the fireball in the face um, from Madison Eagles to Nicole Matthews. And it was just a case of, just overkill. I don't want to spoil it, but there was just this incredible moment. Well, I'll spoil it. There was this incredible moment where, Nicole Matthews was doing all this cheating. She got out the belt, and she was going to hit Madison Eagles in the face with it. And somehow Madison Eagles overcame her. She put the belt onto a chair in the middle of the ring, a steel chair that, of course, they'd gotten from backstage. And it was very funny. There was a very funny moment because normally you think, well, the weapons are underneath the ring, right? And that's always how they do it in wrestling. Well, they would run off stage through the curtain and then come back with a weapon. And so you had the fake baseball bat that got all broken. It was very silly. You had the steel chair. And then I think Madison Eagle, she went and grabbed, it was Kaylee Ray, and she just kind of like was dragging her out, and she kind of threw her at her opponent. It was ridiculous. She was just using her as a weapon, knocked her down, and then Kaylee Ray got up and was like, what's going on? She kind of high-fived, and then she left. It was very silly. But the steel chair was in the center of the ring, unfolded like it was set up and you could sit on it. And the belt was on top of it. And then Madison Eagles slammed Nicole Matthews onto the chair, and it bent. The metal was bent, and of course it's very soft metal, but nevertheless, it just had such an impact. Everyone was just like, wow, they couldn't imagine. Everyone jumped. I think even the people that were nodding off were wide awake at that point and screaming. And Nicole Matthews was defeated. She lost the belt. And Madison Eagles is the new champion. She's the two-time champion. And I said before, I was very excited. Madison Eagles became 10 times the character, 10 times more popular when she became the champion, and was suddenly such a great wrestler. We just never saw her talent, showcased before. And if she becomes champion again, I can't imagine how it may affect her popularity. She'd just be through the roof. She's been kind of a goofball lately, with poking people with forks and things and doing jokes, but now she could be serious again. So congratulations. So that wraps up that show. More to say, but I'm getting tired, very tired, losing my voice, and I'm goofing up a few things here and there. There's a lot of things I'm forgetting. I just want to get my thoughts out so I can get some rest and get ready for another 7 hours of wrestling tomorrow. Starting, fairly early. So I'll make a video about that, and eventually the digital versatile disc will come out. I'll talk about some of the merchandise I picked up just for fun sometime perhaps, and we'll talk from there. But there you go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me drone on about all things Shimmer. So thank you to the wrestlers, and thank you to the fans who made this such a great, fun time. So good night.